Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. I'm Katrina. This is So and Tare weekly live chat, and we always start off with a bunch of hellos and highs. So we'll start with that. Let me know where you're from, what you're growing, and we have all sorts of fun on here. Family friendly, please. I got a new computer. I'm hoping the webcam looks better on my end. Let me know what you guys think. The color is a little off on my end. I don't know if it's off on your end or not, but let me know. All right, I gotta scroll up here. All right, Robert's here. Welcome, Robert. You are here early, 1:35. Hopefully you're still on. Um, anyone know details on triple stacking larger quail eggs in a GQF cabinet incubator? It was mentioned in a recent MyShire live chat, and I didn't get details on what model that works with. Um, there are a couple of people on here that are more equipped to answer that than I. So I would say if Andy Rabbit is on, or if Aaron or Christina is on, who else has that? I don't have the GQF. I know I've heard of double stacking. I don't know that I've heard of triple stacking, but I will let people answer that. That's what's great about this community is everybody shares all the information. All right, GKF said that's not a thing. I ask as my larger wild pattern birds are often 17 to 19 grams or more and won't fit in the standard GKF quail trays. I get it. I don't want to just breed for smaller eggs. Yeah, I know with the egg turner that I have for my Hubabator, which actually I got a Brincia. My eggs are going in today for the bigger Brincia. I'm going to be testing out that, and hopefully it'll be just as good as the small ones. With that one, I had to take out a row, so less eggs go in, but the same amount, like they don't crush each other when they tilt. I am unfamiliar with the GQF. Does the whole thing tilt on the tray, or if each individual thing tilts? Because if each individual thing tilts, they just need to be farther apart, and that's what I accomplished with the egg turner for my Hubabator. But if it is all tilting at once, I would think you probably just need some sort of you can make your own softeners, like if you just did newspaper or something. I don't know if newspaper is a great option, but anyway, let's see what people say. Bill, welcome, Bill. Am I reading this right? It's 9 p.m. Nope, we'll be in bed by then. It's 6 here, so six here. Yeah, finding a good time for this live chat. I usually get off work at 4. I want to allow myself some time in case something happens with work, and then have a little bit of break between this. So 6 p.m. it is. So hopefully you're here. Hopefully you can make it. If not, that is fine. We will see you some other time. Robert says, nap now, Bill. Quail live chat party tonight. Ooh-hoo. Oh, Andy Rabbit says, if I'm not here when it starts, I'll be back. We are watching a movie tonight. All right, all right. Hey, Verna's fourth like, but I'm the first one to arrive near showtime. I know, people were on super early. Hi, Verna. Verna is Vay's place. She is in blue with a little wrench, and she catches bad guys. She does a really good job of that, even when I say, help, Verna. She is awesome. And if you are looking to grow animals or plants in a small space, she does all these things in an apartment setting, and you should check out her channel, Vay's Place. She does lives on Wednesday and Saturday. Hey, Joy says, hello from Western Oregon. Hello, Joy. Welcome, welcome. All right. Weather was awesome today, Verna says. It was sunny here. Of course, I was inside the whole day working. I did get some filming. It's not film. SD carding. Is that what we call it these days? I got some recording done for Quail University. That's actually why I still have my purple bandana on, because wood chips. Yeah, and if you're interested, if you haven't taken Quail University 101, It's a really, really good course, and I will put my affiliate link right here. And you guys, it's an awesome course. It's like a full-on course. All you need to know about beginning level of raising quail. And I am putting together a course for raising quail in aviaries. So if you're interested in that, that will be coming out. Should be later this not this month, later this year. And it is it's a lot of fun. I'm just now starting to get a lot of filming content because we've had so much rain. I don't want to film when it's raining. So that is good. All right. I'm not on Nightbot, Verna. I probably won't be doing that. Yeah, so Joy and Verna are here. All right. Hey, PJ's here. Looks great. Good. Good, good. And Verna says, you look great. Doesn't look off to me. Awesome. Yeah, the color when I got my new computer, and it was like the green was way, way bright, and I had to actually go in. I went into Best Buy. Went into Best Buy to ask them to do something else with setup. And I'm like, can you guys fix this? And so they actually downloaded some stuff. I don't know. It has a NVIDIA card. NVIDIA. Anyway, there we go. It's still a little bright for me, but if it looks good, it looks good. Thank you for letting me know. Hey, Kelly from Feather Connections Homesteads here. Hey, all. Welcome, Kelly. Welcome, welcome. Aaron's here. Hey, everyone. Welcome, Aaron. Oh, you did answer. Okay. I'm going to get down to that. All right. Erica's here. Hello. Welcome, Erica. Awesome. Aaron says, love the look. Good. This or the new computer? Thank you. I used to wear bandanas all the time in the field, and I used to always wear blue. Like that was it was a blue bandana that I had. And I had a couple of them. That's just what I had. And that was kind of became my signature. And then when I moved to California, there's gangs here. So all my blue bandanas, my one red bandana, they're gone. They're gone. Purple, you're pretty good with. I have ones with butterflies on them and flowers on them and stuff, but just the silly things you have to think about when moving to an area with gangs. Oh, anyway. All right. Aaron says, I double stack in my 1502. Is a 1502 a GQF? A model of GQF? So double stack, not triple stack. All right. And Aaron hatches out a whole lot of stuff, Robert, so I would trust what he says. Aaron says, Robert, if you're still on, reach out and I can set you up with trays and spacers. Awesome. Awesome. Aaron's a great person. Yeah. I've been needing to add the GQF trays for jumbo eggs to my website. There you go. Verna, can you put their website on there? Can you find that, please? Thank you. That way people who need to go there can go there. Martin Rabbitry, welcome, welcome. Rabbit question. Oh, we're getting to our topic midway through. I forgot to say that. There's a few new people on here. All right, rabbit question. How much would you sell a purebred California doe for? Some people are interested in buying from me, but I don't know how much to charge. So that depends on if you have a pedigree or not. So that's something that people either charge extra for or don't charge extra for. A pedigree is basically the paperwork that says who mom and dad are back to a certain point. I have seen so another question is, how old is she? So is she proven? Is she young and hasn't had a litter yet? And all of that. So I've seen it all the way from like 30 to 60, kind of up to 80. But that's in my area. Martin Rabbitry, what area of the country are you in? Because that does matter. Yeah, but I've seen quite a wide range, and I think if she's proven, like if she's had one litter, if she's really old, then it's not gonna be very much. But if she has had one litter, I think that that's more valuable to people because they know that she's fertile. But some people won't care, and some people are looking for younger ones or other ones. So, yeah. So how old and where are you? Good question. Ken says my 5:55 alarm went off. My 6 o'clock alarm did not go off. That's okay. Welcome, Ken. You're here now. You're here now. All right. Diddlio? Oh, Robert's wife. I like your name, Diddlio. It's fun to say. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right. He had to step away for a moment, but thank you for discussing the question. Absolutely. Absolutely. We go through the questions in order, and sometimes I'm way behind and try to get to everybody's question. And there's a lot of people who know a lot of things in here. And as you just saw, I reference people when I know that they have either a better answer or a different answer. Because sometimes you can have more than one right answer, and you get different people's perspectives and see what works for you. So there you go. But welcome to the chat. All right, Diddlio, hopefully Verna put their website link in there. Hopefully Verna did that for contacting. Hey, Buster. Buster says hi to all. Hi, Buster. Welcome. Verna says the colors are deeper. Looks great. And you do not look washed out. Yes. So it comes with a light that like has the light on me, but I still put on my other lights. Just in case. I don't know. It looked okay before, but I don't know. We'll see. I am much happier with how it looks on my end, which is good. Yeah, President's Day sale. Oh, or Facebook? Okay. Yeah, Aaron's on Facebook under that name. All right, everybody's saying hi. Verta says, I used to wear red all the time personally, LOL, but that was a lifetime ago. Yeah, I had a little red car that used to be my mom's a long time ago, and then I just, quite a while ago, I got a blue vehicle, and I like blue. It's a good color. I was trying to sell, my little red car, and everywhere I asked, I was on a lot of construction sites at the time, and everywhere I asked, the very first thing they asked is, what color is it? And I'm like, you don't want to know the mileage, how shape it is, how old it is. No, they just wanted to know what color it was. As soon as I said red, they said no. So that was an eye opener for me. Yeah. Erica says, someone gave me 4 new goats, 2 bucks and 2 does. Awesome. Awesome. What kind? Have you had goats before? Because there's a few people on here that have goats or have had goats. PJ has goats. Aaron has goats. Anybody else who has goats or has goat knowledge, let Erica know. That's awesome. And Verna's asking if they're breeding age. Yeah, good question. Ed says, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Ed. How are you? And I hope you're soon to be home, it sounds like. Hopefully. Thank you, Verna, for putting Gijo's Farm link. See, now, Aaron, you got to put that on their website now that I directed people to it. Encouragement. Erica says, I think I'm going to get busy with keeping records and acting like a real farmer. Records can be challenging. Yeah, records can be challenging. Something that I am trying this year is to have everything in one Excel sheet and different tabs on the bottom. And then that way I only need to open one file and it lives on my desktop. I don't have to go in and searching or have external hard drives or any of that. So that's something that I'm trialing this year, and we will see how that works. If it's something that works really well, I might offer that template to you guys at some point, but I want to trial it and make sure that it's actually working. Diana Tuttle Top Farm says, hey from Kansas. Hello, Diana. I hope you are doing well and that your quail are doing well. Erin says Erica could want to come help me with farm records. Oh boy. Okay, so Erica says they don't know exactly how old the goats are because they just showed up one day and moved in. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, like Verna says, hopefully you get a kidding from each. That is interesting. Martin says, are you Martin or Martine? Are you in San Martin? Like, are you close? Never mind. I didn't read the rest of your comment. You're in Indiana. Never mind. Says they are non-pedigrees and they are 11-ish weeks old. So definitely not proven yet. And I'm in northern Indiana. I don't know what prices are there, but that's pretty young. I would say other people chime in here. I would say probably anywhere from 20 to 40 is probably what I would do. But I'm in California and I'm just trying to think of what prices might be there versus here. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. And you can always start high and then work your way down. You don't want to start too low. But yeah, other people chime in because I think we have some people that are closer to you than me. Erica says, no, thank you, Erin. I don't have time for my own. Oh. Molly's here. Welcome, Molly. Welcome, welcome. Are you growing anything or are you wanting to grow something? Plants or animals or anything? Garden? Let us know. PJ, Erin doesn't have goats yet? Are you sure? Are you sure about that? I want to check with Erin. They've had goats. See, they have had goats. Erica says they are Nigerian dwarfs, and this brings me up to $3 and 8 does, including newborns. Awesome. Awesome. Verna likes goat milk. I had 2 born last Wednesday evening. Wow, this seems to be the season of goats. Of kidding. Verna wants to know, are you hand milking, Erica, or using a milker? And PJ's new goats or new goat kids are a week old. Yeah, like I said, it's a season. Verna says I sold an 8-week-old for $40 for a Havana. I only asked 20, but she insisted on paying me 40. Maybe start at 40. Yeah. Erica's going to use a milker. That's probably faster, huh? And getting started with baby goats. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Erin said I had goats a few weeks ago for an hour. Then I ended up with emus and wanted to save my marriage, so I gave up the goats. I thought you guys got goats. You gave them up, man. But you have emus now. That's right. Oh, Vernon wants to know from PJ, do you wait until they are 1 or 2 weeks old before you could start milking them? That is a great question. I know some people start immediately, and I think it's how much milk they give versus how much milk they have, right? And how many kids they have. I've never had goats, so that's my input. All right, we're going to do this early, and we're going to do it probably a couple more times. So if you guys watched my video from yesterday, talking about lights and changing your lights for your birds, if you have quail or chickens or honestly any other bird that you get eggs from and you do have supplemental light on them, we need to be changing the light to make sure that the light that you're giving them and the daylight together equals about 16 hours. And when you have them together and time goes by, sometimes our first light ends up coming on when the sun is already up. And then the second light goes out and gives them a second morning. So sometimes that shifts. So it's important to watch that happen. Now, you guys are getting a preview of just a very small part of what I'm doing in Quail University for the raising quail in aviaries. My rope light went out in my main aviary a while ago. I believe it was the fuse that blew in the little part at the beginning. I don't know. I decided, okay, I'm just going to let them have their winter without light, and they're not laying. They haven't been laying in a very long time, and therefore the young ones that I put in recently have developed to adulthood without extra light. So they have been on daylight time instead of daylight savings time, and it is there's something that happens. I'm going to talk about quail. It's going to likely apply to most birds, if not all birds. There's something that happens with quail when they develop and they do not have light. Specifically, okay, we know that the females are not going to lay. Caturnix quail can lay, 6.5 weeks. They can start laying, or if they're bigger birds, they can start laying at 8 weeks, or potentially all the way out to 10 weeks. But they're really, really fast in laying, and when they don't have light, they don't lay, and they don't hit that sexual maturity for much later. And part of that also is reflected in the males. So many people try and vent sex their birds in the winter when they're more than 8 weeks old, and they don't see anything. They don't see the foam that's supposed to come out. They don't see any of that. I do have videos about sexing quails. I think it's boy or girl quail, I think is what it's called. It's a longer video. I need to do a shorter one. But there is a reason why you're not seeing that. So I'm going to hold up a jar, and it's going to have the testes of a male quail who has not had light. Correction. It has light. It just has daylight. It doesn't have any extra supplemental light, and it has not then reached its sexual maturity. And you'll see why if you know what they normally look like. So I don't think this is a sensitive topic. It looks like grains of rice. If you don't want to watch, I'll tell you when to open your eyes. Here we go. So you see that little floaty? Oops, where am I? That little floaty right there, and this little floaty right here. I need something dark. There we go. Oop. You guys see that little floaty? That little tiny thing. That is the testes of a quail. And thank you. And it is tiny, like a little fat grain of rice. Thank you. And it's so tiny. Normally, these things are about that big. Okay. I only processed one bird today. I did not go into the other aviary and process any from there. But normally they're like this big, and that's mature. When this is alcohol, that's what it's in. When they're that big, they're not going to do much. So there's your answer. I'll do that again later in the talk in case somebody comes on later and wants to know what's going on, what the quail information was. But that is incredible to me, how tiny it is when they haven't had light. So anyway, I will be putting light on that aviary probably in a couple weeks. I need to do some things first, do some videos first. But that is an incredible thing to see when you're expecting them to be this big. If you started raising quail in the summer or even the spring, they're going to be the testes are going to be like that big. And it's really impressive when that happens, because then you're like, wow, that's pretty big. And then when you get these little tiny ones, it's pretty interesting to see that big difference. So anybody who closed their eyes, you can open them now. Like I said, I don't think that was anything graphic, but just in case. All right, let's go up and see what people said. We were talking about goats when I talked about that. Okay. Joy says, I've just been growing quail, been hatching every 2 weeks. I have 2 Nigerian dwarfs, but they are just weed eaters. I know someone that, this is a long time ago, their lawnmower broke, and so they got a goat, and they just staked it in the middle of the lawn with a really long lead, and she just made her way around and mowed the lawn. It worked. It was like their little pet. So pretty funny. All right. Verna says colostrum the first week, usually, from what I understand. And PJ says colostrum is only the first few days. Okay. PJ says I started milking the goat that lost the kids immediately. I just started kid sharing at a week old. Okay. Good answer. Erica says, we had goats when I was a kid, and we started milking once a day at 2 weeks, twice a day at 6 weeks. Okay. Cool. And that makes sense, PJ. I froze all the colostrum from the first mama for 3 days. That makes sense, because you're going to have, in case you lose a mama, or in case you need to bottle feed. I mean, that's a great idea to have that in the freezer. Do you know how long it lasts in the freezer? As a good product. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes they say like meat lasts a certain time in the freezer, and I'm like, really? It can last longer than that. If as long as it doesn't get freezer burn, right? So is there a limit for that for the goat milk? Yeah, and Verna says, PJ, if you have freeze dryer, you could have freeze dried colostrum for just in case. Yeah, for a longer period of time, probably. But she can always get more from a doe. Not always, but she's doing this round and round. Yeah. Aaron says, I keep my lights year round. Jumbos need a light for a faster growth rate. Yeah, I usually keep mine year round. And it just happened that they went out, and then I was like, ooh, I could show this. And so I just left it. Yeah, there's going to be light back in there. Yeah. No light, no foam, Verna says. Kelly, are you still on? You should make a t-shirt. No light, no foam. PJ says yes, but I didn't get one yet. Hopefully soon. At least it's frozen now. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, and that's something that it was interesting that there's retired at 40, what is his name? It's Live Life Simple now. He did a study. Well, he sent off a study. He sent off stuff for a study looking at soil microbes, and they actually live through the freeze drying process, most of them. I think it was microbes. Anyway, someone can look that up and see that if you're interested in. And it's really interesting, and I probably would need to watch that again. But it was recently. It was like in the last month that he had a video about that. All right. Those look like immature eggs. The immature eggs are the little tiny airlick. Is that what's called? Airlick? Yeah, the little tiny yellow specks. Yeah. Verna says, Katrina, I have seen them as large as jumbo eggs. Think of a male having 2 jumbo eggs inside of them. Yep, exactly. Exactly. John, good morning. Good morning. How are you? Good evening. Good morning, good evening, both. Oh, John. Is Andy Rabbit around when you talk about Dr. Pepper? Last week with Dr. Pepper, and oh my gosh, I was at Walmart for something and I did get some Peeps, and they were not as good as you guys were raving about. They were not bad. The end. No more Dr. Pepper. Oh. Oh, and you purchased giant tomato seeds for your mom. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. PJ says, I still have last year's colostrum in the freezer. I need to pull it out. Hey, but that is good to have. That is so good to have. And very important, because if you have an issue and you have that on hand, then your issue is lessened. So that's good. So I did not do a weekend review because usually I do a Monday video as a weekend review, and that is something that sometimes a lot of stuff happens, sometimes not very much happens. And this week it was all about computers for me. I got this new computer. I really haven't done much on it yet, but so far I like it. The color is a little bit strong, but it's okay. It's bearable now. And so hopefully everything will go smoothly now. And my other computer I still have, but it was hurting. It was hurting. It was getting old. But if you guys watched the video from today, those are chayote squashes, and I did show them several lives ago. I showed you them, and I planted those last week, or last week, sometime. Anyway, I was sick when I planted them. I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but they're feeling good. The slugs so far, let's knock on some wood, have not bothered them. And so they are doing good. They haven't grown a whole lot, but they do need to grow roots. So that is first. So they're really an interesting food. And if you have them in your area, I recommend at least trying them. And there's different ways to prepare them. You can chop them up and cook them like you would zucchini. You can steam them. You can boil them. I'm not a fan of the boiled ones. Yeah. All right. Oh, Verna, the giant tomato that you had last year was mortgage lifter? I grew that my first year here, way back in 2013. No, it would have been 2014 then. I don't think I did tomatoes that year. Did I? It was either 13 or 14. And they sucked. The mortgage lifter is named because it supposedly lifted someone's mortgage, and they grew a bunch of them. It was the least producing one that year. So maybe I should try it again. I don't know. Oh, you can use for piglets too, for the goat. You could also use goat for rabbits if you had rabbits. I did not know piglets were on the same colostrum path as goats. Interesting. Oh, John, she has a video about her big tomato. It was like this big. Erica says, Katrina, I saw your video about chayote and decided to try some. We had some with supper tonight. I might try to grow some. Awesome. Awesome. You enjoyed it. How did you cook it? That's good. My new computer made my hair purple. You're probably not used to seeing me in braids, huh? Oh. Yeah, it has a little bit of red in it. Anyway. Oh, Verna says, I think it was a 3-pound tomato. Yep. Okay, you sauteed it and mixed it with some kimchi. I think sauteing it is the best way, honestly. Manuel likes boiled, and I'm not a fan of that. He's also done it in the air fryer, and I'm not as much a fan of that either. Verna says, research I did from my video said you can even eat it like you do cucumbers. Yeah, you can eat it raw. You can eat it raw. Oh, my hair looks more like mahogany. I don't know, Verna. You've seen me in person. You know what my hair looks like. How funny. So funny. Yeah, so the one thing, if you are doing chayote squash, is to have something that can climb on that can support quite a bit of weight. I'm not sure if both of those get going. I'm not sure that that archway will support that weight, but we're going to find out. Yeah, we're going to find out. Oh, Ed says the quality video tonight is the best I've seen you have. Ed, that's because I got a new computer. Thank you. Thank you. It looks better on my end too. So, yes, my wall is really green. It's jade green. Oh boy. Yeah. Um so, did you guys have any questions about like the lighting and stuff? I know most of the people who are on here um have raised quail for a while, but I wanted to address that lighting issue of how your timer is going to have to change throughout winter, and it's starting to get to the point that I change things again. Ken says my friend planted chit. I don't know what that is. CHIIT? It's a palm tree? Maybe? It's a palm. Okay. I know nothing about that. Oh, chayote. That's how you spell chayote. Um, did they plant it recently, or did they plant it and were successful with it? Verna says I had my lights on from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's good. Yeah, you don't want to have them all on all the time because that would not be good. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to show these again. I don't actually know if maybe John was not here when I did this before. I don't know. So these are quail testicles. It doesn't look like anything much. They look like grains of rice, but I'm going to warn you before I show them again. And here they are. Close your eyes if you're not interested. So, yeah, that is what it looks like. Of course, it's in the back of the thing. All right. You can't even see them. There they are. Anyway, that is what they look like. Ew, John says. Just for you. Usually they're like that big if they're breeding, but that is what happens when they have light not on them in the wintertime and they don't have enough light to hit that maturity, the sexual maturity. So there you go. Open your eyes if you didn't want to look. Hey, Steve. Steve's here. Welcome. It says his lights are 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and again 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. I don't have them on that much, but yeah, I do the same thing. Whereas I skip the middle of the day because the sun is out then. If you don't want to worry about it at all, you can totally leave the lights on for 16 straight hours and it will be completely fine. It's just you're using electricity when the sun could do what you're doing. So, yeah. Fried lice. Sue says, being this that small, the lights must have been off. Mine are humongous. Yeah, I'm guessing you're talking about your quails. Yes, this is my test. This was my test. My lights for my main quail aviary have been off most of the winter. And that was my test. You guys are seeing a preview of just one thing and of that's going to go into the Quail University raising quail in aviaries. So it's in a jar. You guys get to see the jar version. I have more information in the course that's coming out. And if you missed this link, this is for the 101 course, which is already out. My course is coming out sometime later this year. I'm recording it right now. So there you go. Ken says, I didn't know what it was, and I thought it was a bungo? Oh, but the chayote grew 10 feet tall and produced 100 chayote. Exactly why I'm saying have something that it can grow on. Now, where I have these, if I needed to, I could grow them on the fence as well. People might take them anyway, but you know, you can grow them further on things. But yes, they are heavy fruit and they fruit a lot. There you go. Yeah, I got that, Steve. And welcome. Oh boy. Yeah. So yeah, the chayote's good. What was the other one? I had the videos set out. I was going to talk about some stuff on there. What did I have? Tree collards is what tomorrow's video is about. Oh, that's what happened. Obviously. Rigatoni had babies. I haven't seen you guys since that happened. Rigatoni, the bunny, had babies. She had 9 babies. They're called kits. They're rabbits. They are called kits, and she had 9 of them. One of them was dead, so she had 8 alive, 1 dead, and she lost one that first day, like towards the evening sometime. And so she has 7 babies, and she is doing fabulous with them. And she goes in and she nurses them for longer than when Ravioli was nursing, but Ravioli only had 5, so I think they just have to nurse longer to get enough to drink. So yeah, but they are doing really, really well. I did have I did take the babies from Ravioli and put them in the grow out. I also so we did the whole switcheroo. That's what happened. Did the whole switcheroo. I changed out the hutch flooring in Parmesan's old condo penthouse, and so it has better flooring in there now. He is temporarily living in a regular kind of smaller rabbit hutch that's made for rabbit hutches. The ones I have are bigger, but this was a little bit smaller because he has a retirement home all picked out for him. And once his house gets to the person's house, she will be taking care of him. So he has a retirement home all picked out, but for now he's living in limbo. And Percy is now in his new hutch, which is Parmesan's old hutch. And the babies from Ravioli are in the grow out. And I did leave one in with her for two days. So it's going to come in when I go out to feed tonight. The young one is going to come into the grow out with its siblings, and then Ravioli will be fully dried off. Some people do this, and I do it sometimes and not all the time, and I don't know why. It's kind of just a feeling I get, I guess, of leaving one behind to kind of ease her into weaning, because otherwise it's all the babies are off and then she has to deal with it herself. So I think I just figured this is her first time. Her body doesn't quite know what's going on, maybe, and to leave one behind for a couple of days with her will help her. And so hopefully that is the case, and she will transition well. And yeah, so that is something that I think is pretty good. Let's see, what else? Oh, so she will be having more babies, hopefully, in like a week and a half is when I'll put the nest box in. So we're getting on the bunnies. We're getting on with the bunnies. That's good. All right, let's see. Verna went for coffee. Yes, she does drink a lot of coffee. Ken says she's talking about the chayote. It was like Jack and the Beanstalk, only it was Pedro and the chayote stalk. They're good. They're good. And what's interesting is there's only one seed inside of it. So you think with a fruit that big, you'd open it up and have lots of seeds. Think zucchini or something. But no, it has one seed. It's about that big inside, and you don't really plant the seed. You just use the whole fruit, and it does everything it needs to do. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And John's laughing with you, Ken. I was hoping to grow kiwi here. And for a long time, I had, oh, great. What are they called? It's the cold hardy one, but there's Vincent and I don't remember what that one's called. It starts with a T. But it's a male and a female because you need male and female for most kiwis. And the female kept on dying. So I had like 3 different females that I went through. And I finally decided, you know what? This is obviously not the right place for you. So I don't know if because it did well and then it got to a certain point that it just died. And I'm wondering if the soil I brought in was good. And then when it got down underneath the soil I brought in, or the, not soil, but the compost and, potting mix and all that, if it got below that, if there was something in the soil there, because my neighbor has a spot in her yard that does the same thing. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I'm not growing kiwis, at least in that location. And the male kept alive for a long time, and then it kind of piddled out as well. So I kind of gave up on that where I wanted to have it. Is where the pergola is, right next to the pergola. The pergola was built for the kiwis, but apparently the kiwis don't want to grow there. There are other types of kiwis I might try. There's other things going on. My neighborhood used to be a walnut orchard, and there's a lot of things that happen in orchards. There's a lot of dumping that happened in orchards. One of my neighbor across the street, and over a bit, has found so much like broken glass when digging in the garden and stuff like that. So who knows what all happened in this orchard when it was an orchard. Yeah. All right. Oh, Verna says drinking coffee helps you learn and retain knowledge. And John can't drink caffeine after 6 p.m. Caffeine doesn't really appear to affect me very much at all. I don't know. Like tea, Barks root beer. That's the one that bites. Yeah, that's why it's called bite, is because it has caffeine in it. I'm not really much of a soda drinker, and I'm not really. I don't like coffee, so I don't know. But this has tea in it. Mm. You guys see my cup? That is a book that my friend wrote, and it's to help kids feel normal, and it is a good book. Mm-hmm. Erica says, I considered rabbits, but with goats and half a dozen species of birds, I probably have enough to deal with. There you go. The thing about rabbits is they're pretty easy. As long as mom takes care of them, you don't have to do much with the babies until it's processing time, because 5 weeks they're good to go into a grow out hutch. I keep the food filled all the time, and mom raises them up to that point, so you don't have to worry about, are they too hot or too cold or any of that. And mom takes care of all that. Actually, they self-regulate pretty well, which I didn't realize until I lost a mama rabbit and had the babies in the house. And they, burrowed in to get warmer. And then if they were too warm, then they'd kick everything out and, get exposed. And it's interesting. Yeah. But they do pretty much raise themselves. As long as you don't lose a mom. Buster says, do you think they will have one that's not black and look like a Californian? Buster, that is a question I have. And I was like, okay, what are the chances of this? And I do not know. So Californian is what the moms look like that you guys have been seeing. Rigatoni and ravioli are they're actually crosses between a Californian and a black New Zealand, but they look like Californian. And then the dad, my buck now, is a black New Zealand, and so far all of his babies are black like him. I don't know enough about rabbit genetics for color to answer that. I do know that they're a cross. I can tell you when it was a cross and so Meatball, you guys might remember Meatball and Ziti. Meatball and Ziti are full sisters of the current does that are here. So they also have black New Zealand mom and a Californian dad. One of the Meatball looks like dad, looks like Californian, and Ziti looked like mom. She's black. So they both had the same mix, but the dad of their babies is Californian, and Ziti, who is black, had black ones and Californian looking ones, and Meatball, who looked like Californian but was a cross, only ever had ones that look like Californian. So I don't know if there is I don't know if there is a sex linked genetic thing there, or if it's what's recessive, what's dominant. I don't know. So it's interesting because they are all crosses. All my does are crosses, and the two that look white, they look like a Californian. They are from the same litter, and there were black ones in their litter. The two that look black, they actually have some white hairs on them too. They are from, that was Tortellini's last litter, and I believe she had other ones that were going to be Californian looking, but she had them dead. So she had a lot that last litter that never made it. There was only 2 that came out alive, and I think there was 3 and then 1 died. It was very sad. And so their genetics, it'll be interesting once they have babies to see the difference or the same, because they are black, but they have some white. So I don't know how that works. Yeah, I don't know. The answer is I don't know. You're on an adventure with me, Buster. Come along for the ride. So far, they're all black. So I have very little knowledge of color genetics in rabbits. All right. Ken says, yes, you just plant the whole chayote fruit sideways. Yep. So that's what the video was today, and they're doing good. They're doing really good. Brenda says, Katrina, tomorrow I will have a freeze dryer full of kiwi. Awesome. I bet that tastes really good. I would like kiwi. I have a friend who lives in San Jose, and she has some my friend is my mom's age, but she has some really old kiwi plants that I think they planted them when they got married or something, but they're at least 40 years old, and they have tons of kiwis every year. It's awesome. That's why I was like, I know I can grow them. And then apparently either the locations change or the climates change. John says, I used to work the night shift. My body switches back way too easy. Oh, Oh, Ken says you can do the same thing with cactus fruit. I have tried this and it has not worked. Plant the cactus fruit sideways. Okay. Maybe so like it partly exposed? Because I have some cactus fruit because of you in a crock pot and I think they molded. I think part of it must have been bad when I put it in there. So your technique did not work for me the one time I tried it. I'll have to try it again. But cactus fruit sideways. Oh, okay. Okay. Andy Rabbit. Hey y'all. Hi Andy Rabbit. How are you? There was a question. Aaron answered his answer. I'm going to ask you the same question. This is from Robert, who was the first commenter. Have you or do you know if you can triple stack in GQF quail eggs? Aaron's answer was he double stacks. So, what is your answer? Science? What? Oh, okay. Fern talking. Science is proven. Steve says I can wake up, drink caffeine, and go back to bed, no issues. Yeah, I don't have any obvious issues with caffeine. And it's funny that I said that because I picked this up to show you the tea. It's a decaf. But I don't choose things based on how much caffeine it has in it. However, there is no cure for caffeine. It is in your body for 4 hours, no matter what. And there is no cure for an overdose. So do not overdose. And John's laughing at Steve. That did not look like a normal turtle. Exactly. 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 That is the case. You guys should look up the book. He illustrated it too. It's a children's book. All right. Oh. Looks like a fox with a turtle back. Exactly. Exactly. That is what it is. Andy Rabbit's here. Dr. Pepper time. John says, "Oh, I was telling people earlier, Andy. When I was at Walmart for something else. They had your they belong to you. They had your Dr. Pepper peeps, and I actually got some, and they were good. But I think you guys talked it up too much because they weren't as good as I wanted them to be. All right. Move rabbits back to their cages. Well, mostly their cages. Awesome. How is Mama doing? That was in the bathtub with all her hair pulled out. How long does that take to grow back? Andy Rabbit had a mama rabbit that pulled a lot of fur. Yeah, and I didn't even look at the video yet. I need to do that. Okay, so Erica says, I grew up with rabbits and have had a few as pets over the years. Okay, so you know them. That's good. You're going to get some shorts up. Okay, good. I need to watch that video from last time. Okay, Erica says it's been about 10 years since I had rabbits. They're pretty easy. As long as you don't lose a mama. that's the easy. I mean, that's the tough. That's when things get tough. Andy says all the babies are still doing great. The mamas did awesome with the moves. Both mamas ended up putting the babies on the floor out of the nest at one time or another, but they're all doing well. Oh, well, I'm glad they're doing well. All right, Ken says, when you plant the chayote fruit or the cactus fruit, just dig a pit, plant the chayote fruit or cactus fruit sideways, and cover with perlite or loose potting soil. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, and Vern is saying wonderful, Andy. That I agree. I agree. John says there is a wild kiwi that is supposed to be a strong plant. Wild to Florida? Wild to where? That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. Andy says, Oh, Andy knows some color genetics. Do you know the colors of mom and dad and any of their siblings from his litter? He is a black New Zealand. Both parents were broken, black and white. And his siblings, I saw 3 rabbits from the same litter. I picked one, and both of the other ones were broken, black and white. I don't see any white hair, but who knows if one's hiding somewhere, right? Ken says, I just got a coffee grinder. I'm planning to grind coffee grounds into fine powder to use for fertilizer. I think it probably breaks down pretty well, doesn't it? Without grinding it to powder. You can grind other herbs and stuff with that too. Steve is answering Robert's question. Officially, according to GQF, you double stack. I think what tray you use makes a difference, quail or pheasant per Zach, and Zach from my Shire farm. That makes sense. Yeah, because the pheasant quails, the pheasant holder of eggs rack, they're going to be bigger. So that is a good point, is to perhaps use the pheasant one instead of the quail one and see how that goes. That makes sense. Andy Rabbit says, I have not tried to double stack. I've not tried to stack in the GQF yet, but I've only heard double stack. Okay. Ken says, my cactus fruit. What about your cactus fruit? Oh, with the digging a pit, maybe? You couldn't find them at your store, Myrna? Okay. Oh, my cactus fruit did not mold. Interesting. Mine were pretty old in the refrigerator before I was like, hey, Ken told me to do this, so I'm going to do it. So they may have already had like a speck of mold on them. So I'll try again next year when they have the tuna verde again. Andy Rabbit says, they are really good. I need to go get some more. Oh my gosh, Dr. Pepper peeps. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the ones that I got this time, Steve, or I haven't gotten them in a while. They were actually soft. They weren't that chewy thing, which is usually probably been out for a year or something. They were actually marshmallow. And he says she looks like, so you're talking about the rabbit. She looks like she has mange right now. Unfortunately, one night the temps dropped and got cold. Oh, you lost a few, but we're able to warm the rest up, and they are doing great now. Okay. Yeah. My Californians are black color. Your new buck is black. So black to black will get black. If your Californians carry a hidden color, you could possibly get blues. Your buck has a lot of black. So my Californians are mixed Californian and black New Zealand. And Meatball, who was a mix but presented as Californian, when she was bred with a Californian, all her babies were Californian presenting. Yeah. Yeah, talking about a prickly pear, the fruit. Yeah, Ken said that he started some by putting it in a crock pot and with like shade over it, and then later took that off and it was growing. Yeah. Blue and chocolate can be a hidden color. Okay. So we'll find out. We will find out. We might just have all black babies, which is fine with me, as long as they're healthy and chunky. Erica says, I have 2 grinders, one for coffee and one for herbs and spices. I grind coffee for my coffee cup and don't want to mix flavors. And Ken loves that idea. Yeah. Andy Rabbit says her babies that made it are 1 black and 2 chocolates. Okay. The other night, Rigatoni had 2. Well, they did it right. 2 of the babies were in the front of the box, cuddled up together, and they were warm, but I think they had just gotten there not that long ago, and so I put them back with the rest of the pile. What happens? It's kind of funny. So when she nurses in there, and then when she's done, she's done. There's no warning. She just like turns around and hops out. And so when the babies are in there, they're just like, what happened? What happened? Oh, okay, mom's done. And so I think most of them knew where to go, and one of them probably went one way, and one of them probably followed it. So there you go. Yeah. California, get California only. Yeah, that was the experience with Meatball. And Steve says the color of the rabbit shouldn't matter if you're just gonna eat them. It doesn't matter, but it's just kind of fun to see what they are. And then also, if I'm going to be producing pelts, then you just knowing what you're going to get, or if you're going to get a variety, or if you're all going to get, if they're all going to be black, that's fine, and I know that. But if there's a variety, you can do different things. Like you can dye the white ones a lot easier if you wanted to. I don't need to, but yeah. Ken says, I found some coffee grinders on sale at Winco. All right. Yeah, exactly. So Verna's saying it does if you're making hides. Maybe it doesn't, but it can. Yeah. John says, I did a quick search on kiwis. Are you growing the best variety for your climate? There are a lot of different kiwis in the area. And I know I picked up, I should probably try and root that one. There's an orange kiwi that someone grows around here that actually I think it's on the coast, but they said that it can be rooted. It's hard to root, but it can be rooted, so I'm going to try that. I am in zone 9B, and we get hot and we get cold. So yeah, 9B. But I know people grow them successfully, so I think I'm just having the wrong location in my yard is I think what's happening. All right. Verna says, I'm going to save all my hides. Yep. Andy says, you have a cool combo of colors, pretty California alive. But for pelts, you have white. So with one litter, you can get black and white zebra blanks. Zebra blank? Is that a term? See, if I type in zebra blank rabbit, zebra blank, or black probably, rabbit. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, that would be interesting. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Well, we will find out. We will find out together. So far, Percy's babies are all black. So there you go. All right. John says, Internet says the 2 most commonly available hardy species are A. agruta and A. colomicita. A. agruta with common names including hardy kiwi. That's the one I think they have here. Barravine, desert kiwi, cocktail kiwi, Tare vine. Yeah, I know one's Vincent and the other one is whatever pairs with Vincent. And I don't remember I think Vincent is the male. I don't know. There's different varieties. That's just what was in the nursery, and it's always in all of the nurseries here. So I think it must be the actual like variety that does the common variety that does best here. But I am part of the California Rare Fruit Growers, and they do bring in scions, and so there is an orange one that I'm going to try and grow and see how that works. Yeah, we'll see. Ken says, can I grind acorns in a coffee grinder? I've never used a coffee grinder. I would imagine if you dried them, you probably could. I think using a food processor is going to go faster. Oh, zebra blanket. Let me look that up. Zebra blanket rabbit. That's just those are just blankets. Okay, it's just showing me blankets. Well, if it happens, I'll let you guys know. My tree is down. Oh, the one that you wanted to come down? Congratulations. Half a zebra. Yeah, we don't have zebras here. No zebras here. There is a winery around here that has a zebra and a camel to be in their vineyard, which is kind of a sad little life because they just walk like this right down the rows. Anyway, I don't know why they have those. Okay, you're going to get videos of it. Got 2 cool videos coming down. Awesome. The tree. Awesome, awesome. Very cool. Yeah, for the color genetics for these for my rabbits, you guys are going along with me. So far Percy has all black babies. We'll see if that changes. Um and it'll be interesting to see because um I think Tortellini, the only black babies she had, I think there was one litter before this last litter that she had that had a little bit of white in the hair, but was also black. These the 2 that I have that I kept back, they very clearly have white throughout their coat, but they're black rabbits with white throughout their coat. So that's pretty cool. And it'll be interesting to see if there's something that happens with them when they have babies. So they will be bred in March, and that will be interesting. There is a herd of wild zebra in California, Erica says. Where? I know of a herd on a private property that is used for movie stuff, and they are not tameable, apparently. Where is this herd of wild zebras? Because I know where this other one is. I don't know that they're wild, but they're they belong to someone. They have like, I don't know, 12-foot fences or something like that. Ridiculous, like so they don't jump. Andy says you got to cut strips of black. Oh, okay. Strips of black and white pelts, then sew them together and make a zebra blanket. I thought you were saying that they would come out striped. I was like, what? I've never heard of that. Messing with me, Andy. Oh boy. All right. In Show Rabbit, they don't like the stray white hairs. You know, I'm okay with it. I'm never gonna show rabbits. It's not my passion. So it's not likely to happen. Um yeah. Near Hollywood. They were released from a private zoo. Okay. Did not know that. I know where some guy has some for I don't know what purpose, but I think he's rented them to movies. Yeah. Or you can make black and white checkered blankets. I'm probably not going to. Probably not going to because well, one, my breeders are breeders. And if everybody has black babies, there will be only black pelts. Mr. Parmesan is going to a retirement home. He's going into a home. It's going to be a couple weeks still, but he's going into a home that has another rabbit, another bunny, and he will be living the life indoors. So it's going to be fun. Yeah, then there is silver foxes that are full of white hair. Yep. All right. I need to open my live apparently. And open this separately. Oh, that's interesting. Verna. That looks like a spray paint job. Interesting. Yeah, Erica says William Randolph Hearst owns the zoo, and when he died, the heirs released the zebras. I went to Hearst. Is Hearst Castle is on the coast. I went to Hearst Castle and I was going to do the tour, and then I found out how much it was. I was like, I don't need to do this. I wasn't willing to do that. I don't even remember how much it was, but it was not in my price range at the time. Yeah. Yeah, Andy Rabbit, is that you think that's a real rabbit? I mean, not a real rabbit. Do you think that's a real a natural hair, or do you think it's a dyed rabbit? Because that's an interesting pattern. It's a very interesting pattern. Yeah, you wouldn't mind having a few of those? Yeah. Ken, what's happening at 7? And it's 7:16. Is your 7 o'clock alarm going off just now? Yeah, I didn't think so, Andy Rabbit. I thought that was more like kind of like when groomers make dogs into tigers and weird things like that, which I've seen videos of, but I've never actually seen in person. I think the most extreme I've seen is I think someone's dog was the tail was dyed blue or something. Yeah. Yeah. I figured it was not real. Along with the jackalopes, right? Oh boy. Yeah, photoshopped. That makes sense after going through some of those pictures. I'm I got a copy of Photoshop years ago. It was on a CD, I think, um, from a friend, and I played around with it once, and I'm just not into that. I much prefer real photos, real video, real all of that. Sometimes in my video I have to cover up things like an address or like my neighbor's houses or something like that, and I don't do fancy things for that. But um I don't know, there's something about taking a picture and knowing that that's what you saw that is much more satisfying than making one, in my opinion. Some people do it for art, and some people do interesting things like that link. Yeah. Yeah. Again says I set alarms so I can find my phone when I misplace it and can't find it. That's great, Ken. Oh boy. Andy Rabbit says I love Photoshop. It's fun to play around with. It was fun to play around with, but it's and for actually using it, I'm not into it. Of course, I'm not into AI and all that stuff either. But yeah. Steve says so when you lose it, Ken, you just wait instead of calling it. Here we go. Oh, Brenna's has Alexa, the color phone. I don't have any of that. I am so creeped out by that kind of stuff. And yes, I know my phone listens to me and probably the computer listens to me and all that, but it's just it's it's just a little weird for me. Okay. So I'm going to be doing a grafting video. I don't know if it'll come out this week, probably not, maybe next week. And I'll be grafting some things. I went to a grafting workshop Saturday, and I was going to do a short saying, "Hey guys, come on, if you're in the area, go here." Except that the day before it was time to go, we got an email saying we sold out. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to advertise. So it's an interesting thing when that happens because you want more people to know about these things and want more people to go, but there's not enough room in the building, fire code wise to account for that, to allow for that. Anyway, I volunteered helping. Our instructors were wonderful, and I recommend, if you guys are grafting or going to graft, that if you are able to, go to a workshop, an in-person workshop, because you will learn so much. And if you're able to go to a California rare fruit grower workshop, that's going to be a really, really good thing. If you're able to go to a workshop by any person who grafts regularly, like if there's someone who has an orchard, like is an actual orchardist, not just has a backyard orchard like me, they're going to know a whole lot of stuff and little tips and tricks to get you grafting right. So, but I will have my own smaller video that probably won't touch on all the points it needs to. But if you guys can watch that, it'll be successful as long as your cambium lines up. And if you are not successful, you can try again. Like that's the beauty of it. And there you go. All right, let's see what people are saying. John says Vay needs an Alexa coffee maker. Oh boy. Oh, Andy says, once I called my daughter from the house phone. I didn't have my cell phone yet and asked her to call it, or didn't know my cell phone number yet, and asked her to call it. It was in my hoodie pocket. Yeah, I turn the sound off when I'm here and it's right next to me. Sometimes I forget to turn it back on. I understand it. I understand that you got people laughing at you or with you. Maybe with you. A wireless coffee maker won't make a new pot on its own. Just turn on and off. Boy. Oh no. Andy says, sad, ain't it? I looked for it about 30 minutes. It's like looking for a pencil and it's in your hair, right? That's funny. Fresh razor blades are great for grafting. They could be. They could be. The thing about grafting that you want is a single beveled knife. So you can graft with a pocket knife that has a double bevel on it, but you're going to get a much cleaner cut, a straighter cut, if it's a single bevel knife. And what that means is I have one over here. Let me know if you want me to get it. But if you're grafting with a pocket knife or something like that that's double beveled, which is a regular knife, it's any knife that you buy except for a grafting knife, then it will actually have a curve instead of a straight line on your cut. So that's something. It can still work. It can still work, but yeah. But some razor blades have the double and some razor blades have the single. So it depends which one. Keep them clean with rubbing alcohol. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Steve says, Andy, try looking for your phone when you have it in your hand because you're looking something up on it. Yeah. People have done this. Verna has done this, she says. Andy says, hey, Katrina, you told me some cherry trees need 2 to flower. Can we graft the second tree to the first tree? Yes, you can. You can graft a pollinator to the main one. And so like you might have, your main variety and then look up what the pollinator is and get, you can get a stick of that from somebody else too and graft that on. Another thing that you can do is sometimes, like in my area, there's a street plum that it's a street tree. It has little tiny plums. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not good. And they're all over the place. I have no idea who approved little tiny plums as a street tree that has little tiny plums smashed on the sidewalk because people don't know they can pick them. However, those flower early. And so if you have an early flowering plum, you don't necessarily need to get another tree. You just need to cut off a branch of flowers and bring it over and set it in your tree or set it next to the tree, because that pollen will still be good and the bees can still pollinate. So that's another idea, is if you don't want another tree, but you know there's one nearby and it can spare a branch, every year, go ahead and do that, as long as it's legal and as long as you ask whoever's there, that it's okay. Then do that, and that'll work as well. All right. Oh, Verna says we're looking for your glasses when you are wearing them. Yep. My glasses, it took a long time to get used to. I wear sunglasses all the time outside, but these ones, like this eye is like there's no prescription. It's just the blue light thing for the computer, and then this one is like very, very little. But I figure I look at the computer so much, I might as well have the glasses. So that's why you see me sometimes with them and sometimes without them, because sometimes I completely forget. But yeah. And here we go. And Erica says, I was on the phone with my sister and wanted to look something up while we were talking, so I started looking for my phone. That makes sense. That makes sense. Awesome. So John says, I have several grafting knives. Razor is better. So you're doing the single bevel razor. I challenge you to say that really fast. Awesome. As long as you find one that works for you, that's great. I know left-handed knives are hard to find for grafting. So a lot of people make their own. A lot of people will just like sand down. It's not sand. Grind down one side to be flat. As long as it's flat, it's fine. I'm right-handed. I don't have that issue, but I know people who are left-handed, that can be a big issue finding one that's good. And then there's also grafting knives that are sold as grafting knives that are double beveled. I don't know why. If you're going to buy one, buy a single beveled one. Yeah. Erica says took me a full minute to figure it out. Hey, there you go. There you go. Oh, and Andy says, I've looked for my phone when I had it up to my ear talking on it. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. You guys are funny. Ken says, I took all 3 tours at Hearst Castle. Okay, is it good? Like, I know it's going to be good. Is it worth the money? That's what I want to know. I don't know that I'm going back down there anytime soon. Well, probably next year, but let me know if it's worth it. John says, my street tree is a black olive, horrible tree. Well, you can make olive oil from that if you get a cold press. You can make olives with it if you get a bucket and lots of salt. My grandpa made brined olives, black olives, one year. This is before I was even thought of. My mom said that he did it only once. It was a lot of work. You had to rinse them off and put more in and do a whole bunch of stuff. So they were good, but it was a lot of stuff. What I would try if I had that it would be olive oil. Yeah. You're going to rewind the answer? Oh, Be Kind Rewind, blockbuster moment. Yep, there's still one out there. Oh my gosh, Verna is eating homemade orange cream ice cream, and you didn't bring enough to share? Oh boy. Yeah, we do remember that. Oh, what about coffee ice cream? No, 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 no. Don't buy instant coffee. I don't buy any coffee. I don't need coffee. I don't need that in my life. Oh, you missed some of what you said. Okay. I don't know what I said. I said lots of things. All right. Did everybody who wants to see no light quail testes see it. I don't need to show it unless someone wants to see it again. It looks like grains of rice. I just figure sometimes we get a flux of people like this on the live. Sometimes people will show up late, sometimes people don't. Oh, on grafting the cherry tree. Yes. So yes, you can graft a branch, a pollinator branch onto the main tree. And the other thing I said is that you can also, if there's another tree in your area that would be the pollinator, you can chop off a branch of flowers and bring the flower branch over. And it's good. It'll the pollen from those flowers will still pollinate. Yeah. Ed, I don't know what you're talking about. Poor guy, he's passed and you're still mocking him? Who? Who? I don't know what we're mocking. I'm not mocking on purpose. Steve says it's interesting how light affects. Oh, I'm not mocking him. You're talking about the quail? I'm not mocking. He's not a mockingbird. He's a quail. He's going to be dinner in a couple days. Yeah, it's interesting how lights affect the sides. Absolutely. Erica says I've seen them in person. Katrina thinks anyway. I figured most people on here have. And mostly for the replay people to see that. John says, Katrina said she's going to get several varieties of kiwis and then send the fruit to all of us. Did I? Is that what I said? I have to plant them first and let them grow. We'll see. We'll see. I think what I said is I like kiwis and Verna is freeze drying some. Yes, I got that, Verna. I came around to what he was talking about. The guy with the castle. The guy with the castle? What? No, I think he was talking about the quail. Hearst Castle is. I used to know more of his story, and I don't know. He was a rich guy, owned a lot of land in California. Yeah, Andy says I don't know of any other cherry trees around here. I would ask your. I don't know if you have like Craigslist or Nextdoor or something like that around you. I know you don't have much around you, but if there's a group that you can look and say, hey, does anybody have cherry trees? And then you can, right now, it's probably still early for where you are, but you can at least source that right now and ask someone to cut you a branch. It can be thinner than your pinky, but pinky thin is pretty thick. Maybe like 3/4 of pinky width stick, and just do like that long so you have a couple tries and try it. Yeah. Ed says, quick, someone mind me light. Oh boy. Yeah, you're getting laughs for that one. Find me a light. Oh boy. Steve says I'm not paying to see some dead guy's house. Lived in Memphis and never went to Graceland either. There you go. Yeah, Andy, put it on Craigslist and say I'm looking for this, looking for fruit or looking for cherry trees or whatever. Something else you might do is if someone is posting that they're selling some sort of other fruit tree, you might do an inquiry and see if they have cherry trees. Because if they already have them and they're not selling them, now is the right time for you to be cutting scions where you are. We could still be cutting scions here for a lot of things. If it's not budding out yet, if it's not sending energy out yet, then that's the time to do it, where you can both cut and put on the scions. Like my Anna apple is in full bloom. The desert gold peach is in full bloom. So like that's too late for them. Yeah. Yeah. So what happens when you graft is basically, I'm talking about deciduous trees, not evergreen trees, because I've not done that yet. But basically, what you're doing is the energy goes out of the tips of the trees. The leaves fall, it goes into the base of the tree, and overwinters. And then when it wakes up, excuse me, it resends out that energy and starts things growing again. So it's living in a suspended state, and that is um, an advantage, because when all the energy goes down, you can cut off something and put something back on, and as long as everything lines up, so not everything, as long as the cambium lines up, it will then shoot that energy through that stick, that scion. Um, Ed says, "Thanks, Steve. You got my front." All right. Vernon wants to know which cherry trees are self-pollinating. Index, Lapins, Skina, Sweetheart, White Gold, Sonata, Stella, Symphony, Sunburst, and Black Gold are self-fruitful. Oh, you weren't asking, you were telling. And can serve with Universal. I know Stella is, because I have a Stella, and Lapins is, I think it's also a pollinator. It's like a known pollinator, I think, for a lot of things. And it's interesting, some of them need a certain type, and some of them just need a flower that's blooming at the same time. Yeah. And Verna says pollen sources for many self-unfruitful. That's just, I don't think that's the right term. But pollen sources for many trees that are not self-fruitful varieties with the same bloom time. I think that's what you're trying to say. Yeah, cherries are wonderful. Cherries are wonderful. I did get, and my cherry, I did not end up getting a cherry rootstock that was of appropriate size. Cherry rootstocks I got were about that big around. And so I will be grafting my Black Republican cherry onto probably my Stella. Maybe. I have to see what actually is doing well out there. And hopefully then I will go back and be able to cut that off and graft it on later. Um, onto these little tiny things. Steve says, so if you get a female scion and put it on a male, when it all grows and matures, would it then be to pollinate itself? I don't know how that works. It's a very good question, because I know, like, almond orchards, pistachios, I think, are the same. I don't know if it's male female or if it's a variety, but they have one of them. I'm guessing it's either the male or a different variety every so often, and it's painted with a different color in the orchards, and that's for the pollination. So I don't know how that works. I don't know. Interesting. Andy loves cherries too. Yep, yep. Oh, those were Google's words. Rita says. Oh, John, Black Republican is the name of a cherry that is wonderful. It's a big cherry that's beefy. It's juicy, but it has like meat to it, and it's really good. Yeah, independent cherry, I don't know. There's probably one. I don't know. I don't know about Democrat cherry either. But Black Republican is one that I've been wanting for a while. There's an orchard that grows all sorts of stuff here. If you're in Morgan Hill area, look up Andy's Orchard, and he has some fantastic fruits, and he has tastings. So in the summertime, there's tastings, and so it'll be interesting to go there if you are at all interested. I've been there a few times. Brenna says sometimes trees will produce a chemical that fights against its own pollen. Hence the reason you need 2 trees. True. So if you have you can have a complete flower. A complete flower has both male and female parts. An incomplete flower has either female or male parts. And so if you have a complete flower, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will be self-fertile. So self-fertile means that it can pollinate itself. Its pollen matches, it matches up okay. If it's not self-fertile, but it still has complete flowers, then that would be a different thing. The reason why I'm questioning I honestly don't know the if you graft a male onto a female, because not every fruit tree, most fruit trees have complete flowers. Most fruit trees are not male and female. There are some that are either male or female. So in those limited cases, that's, I guess, what Steve was asking. Maybe you're just trying to stump us. I don't know. But when you have male and female plants or male and female flowers, I don't know if something systemic would happen, because I know so avocados are not male and female types. They have complete flowers. They're A type and B type, and I don't remember which one's which, but one of them, the female part opens in the morning and the male part is closed, and then in the afternoon the male part is open and the female is closed, and then the other type does the opposite. So you really need cross-pollination to get a good harvest, and you might get some harvest because there's some overlap of flower openings, but there you go. But I do know if you graft one type onto the other type, and I don't remember if it only works one way or if it's both ways, something systemic happens that makes it that makes things work. It makes the flowers open, and I don't fully understand that, and it's just from a talk and a couple videos that I've watched, so I do not know anything past that. It may not be true. I don't know. Yeah. Buster says my apricot is in full bloom, but is going to get down to 30 on Thursday. Well, congratulations and good luck. Is it protected by anything like a house or something? Because hopefully it doesn't freeze the blossoms. Yeah, good luck. Andy Rabbit, if it's self-fertile and it's at a nursery, it will usually say that on the tag. Yeah. Like there is a self-fertile Bing, there's a Bing that's not self-fertile. There is like self-fertile Stella, I believe, is always self-fertile. It should say that on their tag. It should either say self-fertile, or it would tell it. Sometimes it tells you what pollinator you need. And these are things that are pretty easy to look up on the internet if a tag doesn't say that, as long as you know what it is that you're looking at. John says when it comes to Spanish lime, one can graft a male branch onto a female tree. There we go. We have info. Awesome. Yep, Andy Rabbit says, cross fingers for your tree buster. Absolutely. Verna says, with ginkgo, you have to have a male tree with as many female trees as you want. Right, and that pollen will reach a certain distance. There's an expected distance that in orchards, they expect a male tree or a pollinator tree to reach a certain distance. And so they will tell you need one male for every 10 trees, one male for every 20 trees, because there's a standard spacing. And they're more likely to tell you how many you need per number of other variety, female or whatever, than the distance. But it is a distance thing. And So some things are wind pollinated, but most of the fruit trees, if not all of them, like kiwis are wind pollinated, but most of the fruit trees, if not all of them, are insect pollinated. And so that might be the distance an insect would travel. It might have something else to do with something else. I don't know. But yeah. John says Buster needs a tree-sized zebra blanket. You know, throwing a sheet, I don't know how big your tree is, but throwing a sheet over it, you know, might help. Yeah. Yeah, so Ed says time for a smudge pot to save your buds. So I know in some places there's a couple things that you can do. So kind of the old way of doing things, and they still use this in some places today, is to have fires in your orchard, not on your trees that you want to keep, but to have that hot air rising and warming the air, and they would keep fires going at night on cold nights, and that would work. Just don't leave it unattended, right? Another thing to do is you can put a fan on it, and that would the movement of air would do a lot. So there are some orchards in California that I know several years ago we had some really cold winters, and it is they had big, huge like fans going in the orchards, and that was enough to move the air that it didn't freeze the buds on the trees. Um, and so that's currently used. There's another thing that people do. I don't know if they do it when there's buds or when there's fruits. I don't know. I just saw today that my a lot of my citrus have open flowers, which is wonderful. I need to go smell them more. But if you spray them with water and that water freezes, then the frost that lands on it will have less of an impact. I encourage you to look up the information about that, because there is something to do with the heat it takes to freeze, and then it protects it somehow. And I don't know enough about the chemistry of that to share it here, but it is pretty cool. I know I've read about that. Yeah. You're welcome, Andy. Ed can make a smudge pot for you by Thursday. Buster says my dad said to put the burn barrel out by it. Yep. So that's the same thing as a smudge pot. Yep. And John says your dad is right, Buster. 32 degrees is the killer temp. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, Ed says it's done a lot in Florida to save the oranges. Ed can make anything. I agree. Ed can make anything. Yeah. Yeah, so I think the other thing that you can do if you have, I mean, don't really want to be tending stuff all the time either. If you have those little Christmas lights that are not LED, but they're the little ones, you know, you can do big ones too, but the little ones, those actually put off enough heat to, well, yeah, pretty cold, um, so that the plant doesn't freeze. And what that does is it heats up the air around the bulb just barely enough to circulate that air, to heat it up. Heat rises, right? And so that air is being circulated around that little light bulb. And that's what I had on my trees for several years in the wintertime before they got big enough. And I said, okay, you're going to handle things on your own. But the Christmas lights, they have, it's not that they heat the plant, it's that they have enough heat to heat the air right by the light to make the air move, and it's the air movement that saves your tree. Because if the air is moving, it can't get, you know, I'm not gonna say it can't get. I mean, if you have a freaking cold time and some wind with it, it's gonna freeze stuff. But yeah, it keeps it good. Like at that level, if you're only going down to 30, that will keep things going. Yeah, and that's exactly what I just said, Andy. A good old strand of Christmas lights can keep enough heat for them too. And it's important to note, I don't think, unless somebody can tell me otherwise, I don't think the LED ones do the same. So it would have to be the non-LED ones. Yeah. Okay, John says Ed has old military vehicles in his yard. Yep, he does. And Andy says, Ed, can you make a hush the hubby up device? Oh my goodness. Oh, Ed says, thanks for the confidence, but I'm not really sure I can. Oh no, Verna, you should have eaten the ice cream. Now you're shivering. You have more coffee, right? Make some hot chocolate. That sounds better. Oh gosh, Ed. Shush. Family friendly, remember? Oh. Oh boy. Extra thick peanut butter. Yeah, that's what I said. Vernon needs coffee. It's not helping. I don't know. I don't know. You guys are funny. You guys are funny. Oh boy. All right. Well, we talked about quail and light and the male parts of quail and what the lack of light does to them. And we talked about what did we talk about? GQF double stacking and triple stacking being potential no-no. We talked about grafting and compatibility of fruit trees and vines. What else did we talk about? Good stuff. All right. Let me know if we have anything else to talk about. We're coming up on 8 o'clock here almost, and want to answer any questions you guys have. If you're just joining for quail and you want to see what we talked about for quail, let me know. Otherwise, I will probably not show that again because people have already seen it a couple times. And if you are just joining us, you can watch the beginning. All right. Britta says, I heard the reason I wake up with the shivers is because of thyroid. I don't know much about that, but take care of yourself. Warm up. Oh, yeah. Ed says shrivels them down to nothing. So for God's sake, to the lights on the poor guys. There's a big difference, and there's a lot of people who are just getting into quail that don't understand why that's happening. Um, and so that's an interesting it's just an interesting thing to show, and it might not be impressive to people until they know what they normally look like when they are mature, or are sexually mature. Then you'll be like, oh, those were grains of rice. All right, Brenna says, do you know what happens when you plant a plant in a pot of pure rabbit scat? Andy Rabbit tells us everything grows wonderfully except for beans, except for a specific variety of beans, right? I've not done just rabbit scat, but yeah. Okay. And Andy says, depends on what the plant's needs are. Yeah. Because it's not going to have as much nitrogen it's going to have probably enough for stuff, but the nitrogen, a lot of it is peed out. And so that is not left in the scat. I don't know how much of it is left in the scat. But that's why rabbit manure is a coal manure, and chickens and quail and other birds, because they don't pee. Did you know that? Birds don't pee. Then all of their nitrogen goes into the poop because everything is going into the poop. Yeah. Andy says, I would not plant my orange tree in it plain. I would not plant cactus in it either. So vegetable crops is mostly what you've done in that. Is that right? I've added it to everything, but I've never used it just by itself. Dragons don't pee either. That would sound like a very weird statement. Except Ed is talking about bearded dragons. I mean, maybe we don't, maybe dragons too. Yeah. Yep, that's why they have that white cap on their on the end of their little poos. Yep, Ed has, I think, more than one, right? In other words, looking at my lemon balm, there is no soil left in the pot. The plant used all of it. Throw some rabbit poo in there and see what happens. I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, some plants need more air pockets in the soil than rabbit poop will give. Okay, because when it gets wet, it goes together. That makes sense. I've mixed it into things and I've put it over top of things. I've actually put it over a bed and then put compost on top. That's what I've done too. I've also done that with the wood chips where I will layer that on. I put the rabbit poop and then in this case I had some leftover compost, so I put compost and then I put wood chips on top so it wasn't accessible to, critters and stuff. Ed has 3 dragons. All right. And Andy says I plant lemon balm and straight rabbit poop. That's good to know. Good to know. Ed is going to make little mid-devils? Suit of armor for his dragons? I don't know. Oh boy. Okay, Verna transplanted fig tree in pure rabbit scat. Will just have to keep my eyes on the soil level. That'd be good. My fig trees are already starting. I saw today they're starting to leaf out just a little bit. Some of them, not all of them. So that's pretty cool. That'd be cool. Oh, great. Ed has an idea now. He's gonna do it. Oh boy. Ed can make anything. It's true. It's true. All right, guys. Well, I am thinking it's time to sign off here. And we have 3 minutes to 8. Does anybody have anything exciting to share or a topic that we haven't discussed that you really want to discuss that is not Dr. Pepper? And I want to know if anybody has started sprouts. I want to know if anybody made sprouts after I showed you guys how to make sprouts. And then we'll say goodnight. Verna says, have a blessed night, everyone. Thank you so much, Verna. Been a great moderator. Dr. Pepper. Oh my gosh, John. Yeah, they do eat dirt, Andy. Yeah, she says, I believe plants eat dirt. They do eat dirt. It's amazing what plants will go through. If you give them something nutrient rich, they will eat that. And it's amazing. If you guys haven't watched it yet, look up, there's a thing on YouTube, What Plants Talk About. It's a documentary. And it goes through a whole bunch of like chemical signal stuff and like interactions that plants actually have. And it's really, really interesting. Really interesting. So if you haven't watched that yet, I recommend watching. It's like 40 minutes. It's really good. I watch it probably at least once a year. All right. Thanks for live, Buster says. Awesome. All right. Nobody's coming up with things. Let's leave it at that. Go watch What Plants Talk About, and hopefully you'll be amazed at what they talk about. Thank you for watching, you guys. We will be back next Monday, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And yes, I know for those of you on the East Coast, that's a little late. It's not that late here. And yeah, for those in other places, good morning, good evening, and good night. All right. Good night, guys. Thank you.